Welcome, welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am here with my illustrious host, Donnell Johns. I am Coach R.L. Simmons, and we have an amazing guest. We have a legend in the building, Colonel retired U.S. Air Force, Michael Black. Welcome to the show, sir. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. You sound like an opening for a rap song, "Legend in the Building." I like that. I'm gonna write that one
I
down.
love it.
Hey, so this is a military podcast, and I know people want to hear about your military experience and background. Please share that with us, sir.
Sure. Well, to start out with, I am a military brat. My father was in the military for 28 years. My dad went to Tuskegee, and in his senior year, he and my mom, they had me. And then my dad graduated. My mom had already graduated from Alabama A&M. And so hence, dad got his commission and started moving around and with him for, all of my childhood days and that kind of thing. And then later on, when it came time for me to go to college, I ended up going to the Air Force Academy, receiving an appointment from Congressman Jack Edwards in the state of Alabama in the first district. My dad was a legal resident of Alabama. And hence, I went into the academy in the summer of 81 and graduated May 29th, 1985, as a commissioned as a second lieutenant. Uh, from there, I had probably 13 assignments, many TDYs, some deployments, both overseas and in the continental United States. And I culminated my career at the White House as the commander of the White House Communications Agency,
Wow.
basically providing no fail communication to the President of the United States, the Vice President, named successors, the First Lady, and much of the staff, to include the Secret Service. So that was an elevator
Hey, do
ride.
Yeah, and definitely sounds like you picked up a lot of things along the way. Can you give us just maybe one of the biggest things that you learned through your military experience that allow you to continue to flourish after you did your time?
Yeah, sure. I um I like to tell folks that I was in a leadership laboratory for for 30 years, if you count the 4 years at the Air Force Academy. So active duty for 26 and a half years, the 4 years at the Air Force Academy. And we were taught to be leaders. We were taught about leadership at the Academy, read many books on leadership, those kind of things. We have and then you fast forward to my time in the Air Force, professional military training, professional military education. It's all about leadership and developing leaders. And as you grow in rank, you get more responsibility, and you learn more about leadership. And so the fact that I was in a leadership laboratory for 30 years allowed me to cultivate my leadership skills, learn from my coaches, mentors, and sponsors, and basically develop myself and rise in responsibility and rank over the course of the years. And then, like I said, culminating at the White House, providing no fail communications for the President of the United States, who makes history every single day. So all that I gathered, particularly on my time in active duty, leading up to that, prepared me. But even if I peel that onion back and look at what I experienced as a dependent, whether it was attending St. Paul United Methodist Church in Oxon Hill, Maryland, when I was in high school, actually middle school, and then through high school, with the mentors and coaches that were at that church. I mean, to include probably 6 or 7 African American 06s, colonels, one deputy secretary of the Army, and then went on to be the acting Secretary of the Army, one of the founders of the Army Rocks organization, a mentorship organization, who is actually still living today. Colonel Clarence Miller lived right down the street from us. These are the people that were, in my life, crossed my path. I crossed their path, and I was able to learn and be a sponge for that leadership and that knowledge. And I won't say I couldn't help but learn that, but being exposed to that on a regular basis, you tend to pick up things and learn things, and then you develop those relationships and you stay in touch with those folks over a period of time. I mean, today I could pick up this phone, it's in my pocket right now, and call Colonel Miller, who's 90 plus years old. He will answer the phone and he will say, "Hey, Huggy." He calls me Huggy Bear. He gave me a T-shirt with Huggy Bear on it, when we moved into the neighborhood. And so that was one of my call signs or my nickname. But just an amazing opportunity to build that foundation. Later, my brand, if you will, but to learn those things from all of those experiences.
So we met initially, I believe you were a guest speaker or an instructor at the Veterans Institute for Procurement. And through your journey, what inspired you to, support entrepreneurship in the capacities that you have, especially with veterans?
Yeah. So, well, being around veterans is one thing. I mean, so that I've been exposed to veterans. In fact, real quick side story, and my dad and why he joined the military is a gentleman came back from World War II that was in his starched khakis and shine boots and had a perfect gig line, down his the middle of his uniform. My dad saw him one day and said that he wanted to be just like him. And so my dad joined the military. So veterans, I've been around them my entire life. Veterans have been uh, the cause of a lot of my success and our success. And to this day, I still stay in touch with many retired military or active duty military that I served with, over the years. And then you fast forward to when people transition from the military, and sometimes veterans get into that entrepreneurship activity. And I actually went to work for 3 veteran-owned companies. My first 10 years after retiring, the first company that I worked for, his name is Premier Management Corporation. We went to that course that you're talking about, the Veterans Institute for Procurement. I learned so much from there. I wanted to continue to give back. I wanted to share that with all the people that I knew. And so there are quite a few folks that I call that are in my chain, if you will, or in my group, if you will, that have gone to Veterans Institute for Procurement because either I told them about it or somebody I told about it told them. And so they're in my tree, if you will. And then I've gone back to teach their moderate panels, just wanting to give back because I learned so much. That course and courses, while I can't say it's absolutely directly responsible for the growth that we experienced at Premier Management Corporation over the 4 years I was there, it certainly was a huge part of it. And we went from, when I joined the company, from 40 people, and in 4 years we went to 225 people, about 5 million in revenue to start out with, and then on up into the 30 plus million revenue annually. And I attribute a lot of that growth to what I learned in the Veterans Institute for Procurement. And I'm pretty much a graduate of most of their courses. I think they have 6 courses now. And I probably have been to 4 of those. as a student and a graduate, and I've sent uh, other companies that I worked for. So I went on to work for JMA Solutions. I got them a slot in there, and somebody else went that was on the C-suite staff, if you will. So you had me and another person that were graduates of that. And then the same thing when I went to work for Concise Network Solutions later on, veteran-owned company, and sent them there. And then there are many, many others. A very long answer to your question, Donnell, but I stay in touch with Barbara Ash pretty regularly. And that's another way to give back to an organization that gave so much to me and others.
And I want to kind of stick to the same subject, not the same, yeah, same subject. As we kind of talk about entrepreneurship and knowing that you held some key positions in military veteran-owned businesses, how did your ability to network and understand the importance of education, like the procurement classes, like how important was networking to that venture and holding those key positions and keeping the business afloat?
Yeah, networking is critical, in my opinion, to success. And there are a couple of sayings that I didn't invent, but I subscribe to. Some people say your net work is your net worth. And if you think about that, who you associate with and that kind of thing. And then another one that I really like, and you guys may have heard me say this before. And again, I did not coin this, but I certainly subscribe to it. The difference between contacts and contracts. Those two words are spelled almost identical. The only difference is the R in contracts. And that R stands for relationships. And so your contacts can get you contracts if you have the right relationship with your contacts. I'll say that one more time because I think it's, when a teacher foot stomps something, that means it's on the test. And so the difference between contacts and contracts, there's only one letter difference, the R. That R stands for relationships. And so your contacts can get you contracts if you have the right relationship with your contacts. And so that goes to, what you asked about networking, and, cultivating those relationships. My grandfather was a farmer, and I would always remember how he would um, till the soil, plant the crops. He knew exactly when to plant them. He knew how to fertilize them, but and water them. But he didn't just throw the seed out there and let it grow by itself. He nurtured and planned that, and that's why we had crops, over the course of the year. And you could, back in the day, put those uh, uh, in a jar and seal them up and put them back in the house in the back, and have those in the wintertime when you're not growing anything. But the point is that he cultivated those crops the same way that you would cultivate a relationship, and so that you would nurture that relationship. You don't want to be walking up to somebody and introducing yourself and say, "Hey, I'm Mike Black. Good to meet you, Donnell. Have you got $1,000,000 that you can give me?" That's not going to work in the initial conversation where I'm introducing myself to somebody. But if we built a relationship over the years and cultivated that and helped each other out, and it comes time to go do something together in a business where we've been working and talking, over the years, and there's trust, and maybe we've done some smaller ventures together and been successful, then it's an easier ask down the road because we both have skin in the game. There's trust, and you've cultivated in that relationship over a period of time. And so I think that's important to do that. And how I do that is, I'm outgoing. I put things out on the network platforms out there, communicate, and then people it kind of works. I won't say it works by itself, but if you do it good, people will put your message out and say things about you, and you won't even have to be there because you've nurtured that relationship. And then, good people want to be around other good people. And I want to know the people that Donnell knows and that he works with, because I know the kind of person that he is and who he's going to associate with. And those are the same kind of people that I want to associate with. And so he's already done the background check, if you will, on the folks, and that's less time that I have to do. And the same thing with me. If I'm going to introduce Donnell to somebody, I believe that there's trust based upon our relationship, and we've cultivated that. And he talked about when we first met, but there's been a number of years that have passed since that time. And I try to get down to Woodbridge, regularly, to Veterans Growing America, to support Donnell, and to also increase my network, which will increase my net worth, by associating with these folks.
That's huge. I'm about to use the words of my son. That was bars. That was bars.
Yes, sir.
So here's a question for you, right? People leave the military, and I have yet to find someone that has that great transition where it went perfect. So what are some of the challenges that you faced in your transition, from the military into the civilian world and where you are right now?
That's a great question, Donnell. I give one example of, in the military, I learned a lot about leadership and running an organization, and I didn't really have to worry about profit. We got our money, budgeted money, and as long as there wasn't some type of continuing resolution or some kind of holdup, we were gonna get the money that we needed to do our job. But in the private sector, especially for profit, and not only for profit but nonprofit too, you have to be cognizant, be aware of that bottom line, and ensure that the things that you do, the decisions that you're making, continue to make sure that there's positive there, and that that you are making money. And so for me, the very first company that I worked for, I remember I was making some decisions very much like I would make in the military, kind of do that military decision making process and course of action 1, 2, and 3, throw away a course of action, and then pick one of these courses of action. And I remember I made a decision, and my CEO, and I can't say what he said to me on this forum, but just imagine that there was some bleeps, if you will, in there. But he asked me about the profit and the bottom line, on a decision that I made, and I had not thought about it in that context, even though 30 years in the military, and now joining this business, and so I learned about making decisions that included what is the financial impact of that decision. Is this going to affect the bottom line? Is this going to affect profit? And I'll never forget the question that he asked me, because he said, Mike, what about the blank profit, bottom line? And you would think that being a leader and being around, that you would think about that, but was not conditioned during my time in the military to think about profit. Think about being a good steward of the taxpayers' money and doing things, but not really focused on profit. And so that's something that I had to learn, and that's something that I teach folks that are either starting their own business or transitioning to do that, is something for them to think about, because it impacted me. It was a lesson that I learned, and if I can teach somebody something that took me 30 years to learn, and I can teach them right away, then they're going to be better off. We're all going to be better off in the long run.
So again, sticking to the same thing of key lessons. Tell me, what is one of those things, one of the biggest things that you learned while you're in the military that helped you transition into operating businesses and working with entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So in the military, we get a group of people together to achieve a common objective. And, no matter what service you're in, you start out, with an element, a flight, a squad, a company, a battalion, a squadron, etc. But you're getting that group of people together to achieve a common objective. And same thing applies in my experience in the business world. You're getting your team together to achieve a common objective. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I like sports, and I like to use sports analogies. And you guys are probably from an era where you understand or remember kickball. You pick two captains to be a captain of a team, and you would do once, twice, three, shoot odd or even or rock paper scissors to figure out who was going to pick first. And I would, normally I would be a captain. They pick. I mean, I'm trying to brag. I could play kickball, but they try to pick the best players to be captains, and you're popular, and you go pick a team. And there's a message here. So as I reflect back on what I did in kickball, my first pick would always be who I wanted to build my team around. Not necessarily the best athlete or the best kickball player out there, but who was going to make my team better. That would be my first pick, my number one draft pick. And so I apply that, I apply that throughout the military, and then even on into the private sector. And so when I'm picking my team, I'm thinking about this kickball and who I want on my team and who's going to make my team, our team, better. And that's who I'm going to pick. And then you continue to go down that line of picking all of these people that are going to make your team better. And then your team becomes better and really good. Now, you do want the athletes, you want somebody that can play and that kind of thing, but you really want somebody that's going to make your team better. And that's what I did in the military. And toot my horn a little bit. Very successful, particularly at the command, the squadron level. When I was at Langley Air Force Base and the commander of the comm squadron, my team was so amazing, and we won everything. We won all the leadership, the honor graduate awards for professional military education, and then we're big man on campus, walking around. Can't touch this, beat us. You can't beat us in football, and can't beat us in softball, and that kind of thing. But uh, just building that team, carried over not only into the work, but in the intramurals, and then I played command level softball, and so just being around teams really helped me. Focus on the mission and learning that, early on.
No, hey, I love kickball growing up. So hey, I was right there with you.
Yes, sir.
I loved it. So I do want to focus a little bit on VGA, right? Veterans Growing America. You have been down there several times. You supported in a lot of the stuff that we've done. Can you tell America a little bit about Veterans Growing America and your experience?
Well, absolutely. I mean, VGA is the fastest growing veterans movement in the U.S. I think that tagline is on your website, that kind of thing. But your passion for the veterans and the veteran entrepreneurship and the team that you bring together, and it's about veterans, connecting, with business and employment resources and the community. And I like what you do with that, and that's why I come down there and support. Whether it's the podcast or the forums that you allow veterans to use that space to do things. I think it's just so amazing, and it allows me to continue to give to veterans. I say sometimes, sometimes you just have to show up. You just have to be there. You don't necessarily always have to do something. And I'm not saying, that to toot anybody's horn or anything like that, but a presence matters.
Mhm.
And when people that follow you see your presence and see that that's important to you, it's going to become important to them. And people are going to say, well, why is Donnell there? I mean, because I follow Donnell and he's passionate about this, and so I want to be there. And why is Robert there? And why does Robert do the things that he does? Your network, the people, your team will want to be around. And then, you just, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a question that says, Mike, do you know anybody that does XYZ? And I'm telling you, if I don't, I know somebody that knows. I know I've gone to Donnell and asked Donnell, do you know anybody that does this kind of thing? And so I think that's where it's so important, with me. Um, and it's just it's just fun to be around. And like I said, being a veteran, my dad was a veteran. Being around veterans, I mean, it's in my blood to help veterans and shorten the learning curve, and understand what a veteran brings to the table. I mean, there's so much that a veteran brings to the table, in any organization, but that trust, that integrity, that goes a long way, particularly in business and that kind of thing. So I try to get down there, a couple of times a month when I'm not traveling, to just show up. Doesn't have to necessarily be anything that's going on, but then sometimes when there are things going on, I try to get down there too and make that part of my schedule. But I love your passion, Donnell, and the fact that your family is involved in it, is another thing. That's part of my command philosophy, if you will, the 5 F's: family, fitness, flying, fairness, fun. Family is the first thing. You're with your family for the rest of your life, and your family's passion, it shows, in that, and that's what you guys like to do. And you're happy. You always have a smile on your face, and you're making other veterans better.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mike, really, truly appreciate you coming on the show today. If somebody was seeking mentorship from you, how can I get a hold of you?
Well, so in any number of ways. I mean, I am on LinkedIn. I'm Michael Black, and I always tell folks that I don't have the most connections out there, but the way the algorithm works, if you type Michael Black, I'm probably going to be one of the top two that come up there, because I'm a person that uses that platform, to get my message out. So LinkedIn, um, Instagram, and Twitter, or now known as X. My handle is Check the Mike, and that is spelled like the British spell check, like money, CHEQUE, THE, and then Mike, MIKE. You can see over my head here, there's a microphone, for the president. And we always had to make sure that that microphone was on when it was supposed to be on, and off when it was supposed to be off, for the president. And so one of my mentors always told me to check the mic, before I took command. And he was, talking about checking that microphone back up there. And I was like, yes, sir. Retired 3-star General Albert Edmonds, communicator, United States Air Force. And took me out to lunch before I took command, and he always told me about check the mic, and I remember that. And so I just tried to, make it personal to me. Uh, Mike, MIKE, and Mike, MIC, are, similar sounding, and they, you use them in a sentence. I use this big word here, double entendre, and so you can check the mic. And when I put check the mic out there, like on my vision board, I spell it the way that I said, MIKE, but the I in mic is like a microphone. So it looks like a microphone. So it reminds me of General Edmonds talking to me about check the mic. And he put an expletive in front of that when he got to the very end. He's like, no, I need you to check the, you know what, mic.
I love it. That's an amazing story as well. Hey, Donnell, can you tell the listeners how they can support Veterans Growing America?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you're within the sound of my voice, this is what I need you to do. Number one, go to my website and find out the different ways that you can support. You can become a member of our organization. You could also come to our store. We're about to open up our second location in Maryland. That is coming up August 29th. So follow us there. Follow us on all social media at Veterans Growing America, no matter what the platform is. And everything that we do, we support entrepreneurship. We have our pop-up shops every weekend. We're open 7 days a week. We do a networking event, Veterans Connect, it's called Veterans Connect, where we connect with business, education, and employment resources. We have a comedy show. Y'all know comedy is a business, right? We do line dancing. Guess what? Dancing is a business. We do open mic night. There's another mic. Singing and poetry is a business. So we try to support businesses in realms that usually they don't get the most support, but veterans are the most talented people that I know. We do everything and we cross every genre. If you think about all of the biggest organizations out there, they were started by veterans. If you think about Nike, Chick-fil-A, GoDaddy, all of these great organizations were started by our community. We're going to highlight that and show America the positiveness that's in our community. And then when you come by our store, this is what they need to do. What they need to do, man?
Shop, baby.
Shop, baby.
All you gotta do is shop, baby, shop. I really wanted to say that, man. All you gotta do is shop, baby, shop. I can't do it quite as good as Donnell, but I wanted to say that. I wanted to make sure I got to say that tonight. All you gotta do is shop, baby.
Got to get your shop on, baby.
I love it. I love it. Again, Mike, thanks for joining us. Thank you for blessing us with your presence and definitely drilling in a lot of knowledge. We truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, thank you guys. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Just an amazing opportunity. And, I was honored, when Donnell sent me the note. I was like, yes, make it happen. 1st of July, I can definitely do that. I'm leaving tomorrow for Turks and Caicos, but I got time to do it tonight.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. We truly appreciate it for sure. Your time is precious to us, and we want to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
And we are over. And